podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Craig. I'm delighted to be here.
We're excited. I'm in the southern hemisphere and you're in the northern hemisphere. So thanks for doing this at this time.
We couldn't get further away if we tried, I don't think. But no, it's great. It's lovely to be talking around the world.
Well, let's hear about your background and how you came to be where you are now. And I'm excited to learn about what you're doing with helping writers to flourish.
Well, my background is fairly varied, really. I can't really talk about a career because the things I've done have just sort of been things that have fallen into my lap as I've done them. But oddly enough, I started in publishing on your side of the world in Australia when I went out there to finish my degree with my then husband, who took up a job in lecturing in English and drama. And we started a theatre magazine, and we ran a national Australian theatre magazine for 8 years, which oddly enough has never been done before or since. And it was a completely insane project, but it was absolutely an incredible piece of learning. And that was back in the days when we were literally marking up strips of proofs, and though it was before
Wow.
online internet, any kind of computer publishing. So it was a very interesting and hardworking time. And then we came back to the UK. And during the time that we'd been in Australia, both of us had become we'd both got been on television. I hosted an arts and entertainment series, and my husband also did on ABC TV. And we came back and we created something which in those days was very cutting edge and now sounds incredibly old fashioned, which we called video books. And they were like sort of cooking videos, gardening videos, bringing up children videos, and it literally had not been done before. So we actually called them video books. So it was, we were kind of ahead of technology at that very long ago time. And then, oddly enough, I kind of took a different detour, and I became a work-life balance expert for the best part of 10 years when that was a new thing as well. And interestingly, all the things I was promoting at that time, which didn't really get taken up, like flexible working, working from home, job shares, and should have been, suddenly got jumped on in COVID and became
Mm.
terribly popular. So I kind of, I'd done loads of trials of flexible working teams in different organizations. And they all showed that, it increased productivity, it increased retention, recruitment, all those sorts of things. And yet people didn't feel confident in taking it up. But I think, again, it was ahead of the time in terms of technology. And now, technology means we can work from home in a more whatever productive way or easy to manage way. And then I also wrote a few books during that period. In fact, the first book I wrote was about work-life balance. And then I and then I went on to write some novels, and then I wrote a book which got published by a small publisher not far from me in the UK, and I ended up going to work with this guy Joe Gregory, and he was working with entrepreneurs and experts who wanted to write a good book, have a good book published, but weren't necessarily needing to sell loads of copies because they were going to use their book as an authority piece and as a way to build
Right.
their businesses. So we pioneered it's simply a different business model, which we call hybrid publishing, where the author pays for the publishing services, and we provide at Rethink Press a totally professional publishing experience and do all the things a traditional publisher would do. But also because the authors we work with are experts in their field, but not necessarily expert writers or experienced authors, we've also developed a team of coaches and ghostwriters to work with authors who
Mm.
need the input early on. So our team takes people from, book concept to right through the writing process, through the publishing process, to books in hand, up on Amazon, wherever else they are distributed, and also helps promote them and helps people use their books to build their businesses, which is a different proposition to selling the book as a product. And based on that, we have now started working on a book writing app, which is a coaching tool, but in the form of an app now, taking the process that we've developed over the last 10 years or so, of taking people through positioning, planning in detail, and then a very supported writing process, using AI, assisted AI, I should say, but not AI generated writing. So that's where we are at the moment.
I'd love to dig in more for that, because as an educator, helping students learn to write and craft their story is so important. And I love that you said it's not generative AI, because we don't want the AI to be writing for us, then it's not authentic. So tell us about the process that the AI takes the potential author through.
So the AI, we have AI coaches, so that I mean, I'm one of the AI coaches. I appear as an AI generated video, but we have different coaches. So the first thing they do is to think about their own values and their own goals for writing a book. So we start right at the beginning, and understand what people want to get across, what their message is, what they are trying to do with their book. So that there's a sort of process for going through that. And then it's very important for our authors, and actually I think all authors, but perhaps it's more obvious with business authors, is that they need to get absolute clarity on who their market is and who they are writing their book for. And in the case of our authors, it is for very specifically an ideal client. But I think that's important for anybody, whether they're writing an essay at school, whether they are in college, doing more sort of practically based work or essays, or a fiction writer. I think everybody needs to have clarity about who they are writing to. And what has worked for our authors over the years is actually creating an avatar so that you talk to one person when you are writing. And I think that's something really important that a lot of people miss, especially if they're writing a book, because it feels like you're writing a book for loads of people out there, and tons of people, you hope that hundreds or thousands of people are going to read your book. But what often I think authors forget is that every time somebody reads your book, it is a one-to-one experience between you,
Mm,
your voice, and the reader. We don't do book reading on the whole, as, or perhaps in primary school, as a group activity. So it's always, and with audio books, it's you speaking to one person
mm,
at a time. So that's something that our AI coaches take the writer through, and that's part of the assistance. We ask them very specific questions to think about describing their ideal reader, why the person is reading the book at that particular moment in terms of business, what their pain is, whether they are
mm,
a business or an individual, and then what the promise, the message, or the premise of the book is, what it offers. And so there is, you're building an understanding that you're taking a reader on a journey, and they're going with you from the pain that they're in, the lack of understanding they have, the lack of knowledge, whatever it is, to a place where they have received your promise, and now they know what they need to know. And in the case of our business book writers, they hopefully will come back and work with the author for implementation of the information that the book has provided. But I think those sorts of processes can be really important in education as well, because it helps a student to understand why they're writing what they write, why they've been asked to
mm.
write what they have, who
Mm.
they're writing for, not necessarily just their lecturer, their teacher, whatever it is. But what are they trying to learn? What are they trying to get out to the world? And then after that, with the positioning, what we do, what I'm kind of slightly obsessed about maybe, is structuring. Before you start writing, I think it's absolutely vital, especially with something as big as a book, a writing project as big as a book. But I think it also works for, an essay, an article, that you have a clear structure in place. You know where you're going from step to step. So within a book, we will not just, sort of have some chapter headings as a structure and, wait to kind of go through the writing process and then fill them in, which can get very overwhelming. But actually, to make sure that every subheading is there, every case study, every piece of supporting information or data is in place. So you have an absolutely detailed contents page before you start writing. And the AI is incredibly helpful with that. It's very good at, it might not get it completely right. It might not know what you know. I mean, our authors are experts, but it's really good at making suggestions. And we kind of create the avatar reader for our authors so that they can ask that avatar, what else would you like to know about this? Have I left anything out? It's sort of, AI is very good at pretending to be a person who can help you think through those things, even if it's not, it's not necessarily perfect, but it really kind of helps you to focus, I think. And then we go through a writing process, which is absolutely not AI generated. And my belief is, and that all my authors tend to back this up, is that even if you're not a great writer, doing the writing is an incredible piece of self-development. You should
Mm.
not, I think, worry about how good or bad your writing is. And I really feel that, students should not necessarily be marked on, the brilliance and style of their writing if they are getting across what, good content. But then, of course, AI can really help with editing. As long as it doesn't interfere, it can actually tidy things up very nicely and make things, make the style more coherent and, improve spelling and grammar and punctuation. I think as long as you're not allowing it to make what you've written too bland, which I think is
Mm.
one of the problems with AI, is that it sort of kind of flattens things out and takes your own voice away. At the moment, who
Right.
knows what it's going to be able to do in the future? But I really believe that learning to express yourself, and for some people, writing can be done verbally. I mean, if you have dyslexia, if writing is really problematic for you, or physically writing is problematic, then why not allow people to dictate? There's plenty of whether it's AI or simply software that will transcribe your thoughts, your spoken word. And that's what we use for ghostwriting as well. Obviously, we interview people and authors and um, record and transcribe, and then our real life ghostwriters will tidy up their work and their content, their spoken content, and turn that into good written work. But I think AI can also help with that. So I would like to think that AI will support people to be more confident about writing in different ways, whatever we call writing, if you like, but being able to ultimately get words down on a screen or a page or whatever it is, and feel that it's okay, they can do it.
Ask about that writing process. I can imagine a teacher thinking, well, I can just give them a Google form or a worksheet and it'll ask them questions and they can enter their information in the boxes and then we pull that out and there's their writing. Why is it different having an AI avatar? What are they going to do that's going to enhance that writing process?
Well, I think an AI avatar feels more personal and less, what's the word, teachery. Basically, you can, you can perhaps have a more relaxed attitude with an AI avatar. And that, I mean, your teacher may be the person you're writing for, or you may have been, set an assignment that's actually there to do something else. So the avatar might not be the teacher, but you could if you've got an avatar on your screen, it's not like you're going, the avatar is not going to judge you, shall we say. I think you can feel, students might feel more comfortable just having this one-to-one relationship with somebody who's not going to mark their work and not
Mm,
going to judge them. That's just a thought. Um, but also, I think, I mean, our AI coaches kind of take, I mean, I have mentored literally thousands of entrepreneurs through the process of writing their book. And what I, have come to understand is that writing something, well, certainly a book, and perhaps, smaller projects for students or whatever, is not just an intellectual process, it's an emotional process. And if it's an important piece of work, as a book is, but say you were writing a thesis or, an important essay, um, you are going to go through phases where, I mean, typically the beginning feels easy. You get stuff out, you can write the first few in a book, kind of introduction, couple of chapters, and then it starts to get hard. And then, you start to feel the next few chapters, usually up to about a third of the way through, you'll start to feel imposter syndrome coming on. You'll start to feel, oh God, this is so boring. Nobody's going to want to read this. This is rubbish. I'm no good at this. And you can't, and I say to people, I try, and my kind of process when I do this in person is to have Zoom calls with people on a regular basis, groups of people. And I like it when they say, oh God, I'm feeling terrible, because then everybody else goes, yeah, me too. And I can say, this is normal. Just step back from it, forget the emotion. This is the way it feels to write a book. And I think an AI avatar can do that, if it's properly trained to do it, better than a teacher can be, because it can go through the kind of small step-by-step phases of the writing process and be there to be supportive.
mm, mm.
I don't, I mean, we haven't got to that stage yet with our app, but that's what I want to happen, that, the sort of the
Right.
in-person kind of support that I'm able to give, will be able to give it to our authors all the way through.
Is the intention that the AI avatar will be trained not just by the person that they're talking with, but as all the other authors are working with the software, that it's learning from all these other interactions so it can bring more coaching in a better way that's got good responses?
I hope that will, yes, I hope that will be the case. I mean, to be honest, I am not the tech side of this, so I'm kind of bringing the content, if you like, and the process in, and I hope that's what I hope will happen. But yes,
Right.
absolutely.
So I think this is the beautiful thing about teachers is that we can't be replaced by AI for many reasons, at least at this stage, because I've got 30 years of working with students and high school students and
Exactly.
adults, and I have this context, this pedagogical context, content knowledge that I can bring to this situation with this one person based on the years of working with other people, seeing how it didn't go well and seeing how it did go well, and kind of navigating conversations more expertly, I would imagine now. AI is not there yet, but I would
No,
imagine it will
no,
get
not
there
at
pretty
all.
soon.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I don't know, how much it will, whether it will get there or not, how personal it will become. I mean, I think it's easy to see that it might take that role, because even if you just, have do a little bit of work with Chat GPT, you start to feel that you're developing a relationship with it. You go, I mean, I don't know about you, but I tend to say please and thank you. And oh, that was nice. That was a good one. But
I
could we?
do as
And
well.
it's sort of, and I kind of feel that, that probably will develop for, the kind of writing app that we have,
Mm.
that we're working on. but it's but yeah, I mean, I think it, it could be helpful in the same way to students. But I completely agree that an actual real life person, a teacher, an experienced a teacher of any kind, cannot be replaced. And I think that's the point of AI. It's not there to replace, everybody or anybody. Well, some people probably will be replaced by AI eventually, but I think teachers, mentors, coaches,
Mm,
there's a place that AI can't take over completely. And
right.
I will go on having, having even with the app, I will still offer weekly Zoom calls with as many people who want to go on it. We also
Mm,
continue to have our team of coaches who, people using the app can access and just book an hour with a coach to see if they've got, see
right.
sense check that with a real person. So I think it's very much about the mix and getting that right.
Mm. Lucy, I want to ask your advice for teachers. Just one idea, maybe, that a teacher who teaches writing literacy in the classroom at any level, um, what is one thing that they could test and try with an AI tool, whether that's ChatGPT or some other tool? What's one strategy, one idea, one technique that they could try with AI to improve their own writing or to improve the writing of their students?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Um, I I think possibly getting into a dialogue with AI about whether they understand the content, could be. I mean, that sounds rather a complicated way of saying it, but um, sort of using AI to sense check what what people
Mm,
have written. So did I wanted to tell you this and this and this. What did I tell you? Or put it the other way around. From this piece of writing, what did you learn that I've told you? And AI is
mm,
already quite good at doing that. And
mm,
then saying, okay, so if you were, ideal reader, avatar, whatever, what else could I tell you that would be useful to you? And
right.
it may not be perfect, but I think being able to answer quite simple questions in a way, but I think that could be useful at all levels of teaching
Mm,
literacy and writing. um, but I also think that I think AI is good at structure. If you say, if you tell AI that you want to your the premise of your piece of writing, and give it some ideas, you can very easily say what's a good structure for this, and it will that's a level it works on very well. So if
right.
you were writing an essay, tell me 10 paragraphs, 20 paragraphs of 300 words each, that I could write. It won't, don't ask it to do the writing for you, but tell it to ask it to create a reader journey for you. And I think
Mm,
that could be quite useful, because also I really feel, and I know from from our authors, that having this um, fully detailed contents list at the start of the writing journey means they never get writer's block, because they might need to move
mm,
a few things around, but basically it's always what comes next. Yes, I know, I've already thought of that. Yes, 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 I've got that. Here's a case study. Here's my next piece of information. Here's some supporting data. It's all there. That's the work you do in advance. And AI is good at helping with that. And I think, getting those sorts of teaching people to do that planning work in advance, at whatever level. And I think that's, important for students, for children as well, to learn to plan pieces of writing before they start writing.
mm,
Then they don't get overwhelmed, they don't go off track, they
very
don't
good.
think what comes next. They actually create the journey, and then they fill in the detail.
Mm. Well, Lucy, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. What's the best way for someone to reach out and connect with you?
Well, with me personally, probably on LinkedIn, I'm Lucy McCarraher. I have a very oddly spelt name and pronounced name. And as far as I'm aware, I'm the only Lucy McCarraher on the internet online at all. So do come and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also on other social media as well. And if you're interested in writing a business book, come to rethinkpress.com, and
Lovely.
it'd be lovely. We'd be very happy to talk about that.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Craig.